Hey guys, today we're out in the garage with our 2018 Dodge Journey and it's not good. Now, I don't regularly drive the car, but when I pulled it in for its routine oil change, I actually noticed that it sounded just exactly like a sewing machine that was jacked up on Red Bull. Pulled the dipstick, it had nothing on it. So I took a peek underneath and realized the entire oil pan was actually full of oil and looked like it had another separate leak. Awesome. At least now we know where the oil went. If the top end was starved for oil, and that is indeed, where the noise is coming from, then it very well could have generated some unwanted glitter. And if there's metal shavings in the oil, there's really no point in finding where the leak is. We should probably find where a new engine is. But we can actually get a very good idea of what is going on inside the engine by taking the oil filter off and actually cutting it open and inspecting the inside of it. Now, full transparency, I did notice that the oil pan had been seeping prior to this, and it just seems like it got really bad between the last two oil changes. Now, it was about an 8,000 mile oil change, so that's way longer than I would normally do on the vehicle. Luckily, there was no metal in it, so that's a big relief. So we've definitely determined that it's the oil pan leaking, and we also have a slight leak from the top of the timing cover that we sprayed off, and we will check over the next month. Stay tuned because I'm sure we're going to be doing a video on that too. But luckily the oil pan gasket is pretty cheap and it's pretty easy to do on these cars, so I'm going to show you how to actually replace the oil pan on a 2018 Dodge Journey, pretty much any Dodge Journey with the 2.4, and this procedure is going to be pretty much universal for a lot of the cars out there nowadays, so even if you don't have a Dodge Journey, let's get into it. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is raise the front end of the vehicle with either a jack and jack stands or ramps and remove the drain plug to drain the oil. Be sure to put the drain plug back in before you continue so it doesn't drip on you, LOL. Now, for this particular vehicle, you will need to remove the AC compressor bracket, but you will not have to remove the AC compressor itself or the belt or any refrigerant. Just use a 13mm wrench to loosen this bolt, but don't worry about the line in the way there. The bolt does not need to come all the way out, just enough to let the bracket come free. Now you can remove the bracket with a 13mm socket on an extension. It is held up with 3 bolts. Now you can remove the 2 long 12mm bolts that are hidden under the bracket. From here on out, it's literally all 10mm holding the pan, which are super easy to get to, except for the 2 under this engine mount, but a short 1/4-inch drive 10mm on an extension gets it no problem. Remove the remaining 10mm bolts, and it's always good practice to put a pan underneath just in case the pan actually falls on you, but these Journeys are siliconed on, so you usually have to pry them off. But don't just start prying on them, because you can bend them. What you want to do is get something like a paint scraper like this, and try to use a hammer to break the seal all the way around the pan. Then you could take a large screwdriver or a pry bar and pry it off, but be careful. Now you're going to want to put a catch pan under here just to catch any residual oil from the engine. Now with the pan out, I was really interested to see if there was anything worth noting in the bottom of the oil pan, but there was nothing there other than disgusting oil and some silicone. Now we're going to clean out the pan and remove the old silicone. What I usually do is start with a scraper like this and then finish off with some good Scotch-Brite. Now we can line up the gasket to make sure we have the right orientation, put it to the side, and put a small bead of silicone all the way around the pan, and this will hold the gasket actually in place perfectly. While that is curing for a couple minutes, we can actually take this opportunity to clean up the mating surface of the oil pan on the engine using the same scraper and Scotch-Brite method. Once you've got it looking pretty good, take a small bit of silicone and put it right here on the bottom of the block where it meets the front cover. It doesn't take that much, but it's highly recommended. Now we can grab the oil pan and put it back on the engine. You can use 3 or 4 bolts to just kind of hold it up there in place, and then continue with the rest of the 10mm bolts, but don't tighten anything, just thread them all in at least halfway. Now put the 2 long 12mm bolts that were hidden by the AC bracket back in and tighten them all the way, but not completely tight. Now I'm going to suggest to just Google the torque sequence and specs because this is going to change from car to car, but basically tighten all of the 10mm bolts and the 12mm bolts until they are all of proper torque. Then replace the AC bracket using the 3 13mm bolts, but don't tighten them completely. First tighten the long 13mm bolt going through the AC compressor into the bracket, then you can tighten the 3 remaining 13mm bolts. Now I would suggest using some brake clean or foamy engine brake to clean off the engine where the oil was, because this will make it a lot easier to check for leaks. Now all we have to do is fill it with oil, spin on a new filter, run it for a while, then maybe take it for a drive, and then come back and check for leaks. Alright, so no leaks, and I think we dodged a bullet there. The reason why I say that is because these Dodge Journey 2.4 liters, which are the world engine I believe, let me know down in the comments if I'm wrong on that, but they actually have a solid lifter cam, and I was hearing a lot of noise up top, and if that's what was actually making that noise, then that means it could have definitely, you know, messed up something pretty bad. Now the engine's got about 160,000 miles on it, so it's about time for gaskets to start leaking and stuff like that, but all in all, man, it has been an awesome engine for us, and I have been told that they actually run pretty long time, so that's good. So we will see about that. Definitely change your oil before 5,000 miles. Don't go 8,000 miles. Think about it. If you have, you know, anything that's leaking, valve covers, whatever, if it's leaking oil and you don't do anything for a long time, then, you know, that's less and less and less oil that's in your vehicle, and you know that can definitely lead to catastrophic failure pretty quick. And also, I will admit, it was a little bit janky there at the end with the reassembly and putting back the oil pan and putting back the AC compressor bracket. And I know this is like the most typical YouTube thing to say, but I actually lost footage of that, or either that or didn't record it at all and thought I had recorded it. That's usually what happens. But yeah, it's pretty much just the same thing, just in reverse. But the one thing you do really want to remember is those two long 12 millimeters that actually go underneath the bracket before you put the bracket on. And when you do go to put the bracket on, put the one bolt through that goes through the AC compressor into the bracket first. Line that up, don't tighten it. Tighten the 3 bolts after you've got that in there, and then tighten that. It just makes it a lot easier. Other than that, it's definitely one of the easiest things to do on a car as far as, you know, changing a gasket and actually taking something off and putting it back on. But this is something, you know, that I always say, if you have any questions, comments, mostly questions, I love answering questions, let me know in the comments down below. And I will try to help you as much as I can. And if I forgot anything or left anything out that, you know, you feel needs to be mentioned, go ahead and drop them down there. Also, we are going to be doing a couple of review videos that have been fallen behind. There's a couple I have to get out. One, we're going to be doing the Coweets borescope. Going to be doing a full video on that here in a little bit. We also got the Hashika jigsaw, which we will be doing a full review on as well as the Aslam wipers. Actually, funny story, Hashika actually sent me this jigsaw and a 1/2-inch electric impact, and that was coming from Canada. I don't know, I think that came from China, or that was already in the States, but the impact is coming from China, and this was about, I don't know, over a month ago, and I still haven't gotten it. I think I know why, but I don't know. If you know why, let me know down in the comments below. But other than that, if you like audio and stereos and car stereos and things like that, there should be a video up there or a playlist. And if you like, you know, more auto repair, stuff like that, check out the video or the playlist up there. And like always, they might be switched. So, all right, guys. Appreciate you. Have a good one. And like I said, let me know if there's anything I missed. And I love you.